This program is brought to you by Link TV for educational and non-commercial use only. Mosaic, a daily news program from Link TV, presents a selection of news reports from independent and state-controlled broadcasters from throughout the Middle East.
On the
Palestinian issue, a knowledgeable source said Azam al-Ahmed, the head of Fatah parliamentary bloc, had not gotten the green light from the Palestinian leadership to sign the Sanaa declaration, and that he took this step on his own accord because he was not able to make phone contact with the presidential office for consultations before signing this initiative.
The signing of the Yemeni initiative in Sanaa between Fatah and Hamas created a storm and began a public confrontation that appeared to be between the Fatah movement and the Palestinian presidency.
In the future, a dialogue must resume in order to implement the Yemeni initiative and all its articles. The initiative should not be treated as a framework for dialogue because this will not lead to result. The articles in Yemeni initiative are clear and we want it to be implemented, not debated.
The Yemeni president launched an initiative in order to resolve the internal Palestinian conflict, inviting the representatives of the Palestinian Liberation Organization and the Hamas movement to Sanaa to sign an agreement that is derived from the articles of the Yemeni initiative, which includes the return of the situation in Gaza to what it was before last July, the resumption of internal Palestinian national dialogue based on the Cairo and Mecca agreements, the formation of a national unity government, and the holding of early presidential and parliamentary elections. Finally, the formation of an Arab committee to implement the previous items.
This agreement, these principles, which were drawn by Yemen, came from the ideas of President Mahmoud Abbas and Mr. Khalid Mish'al. On a practical level, these two individuals wrote these principles. Yemen adopted and embraced these principles. Then they were transformed into an initiative. The initiative was waiting to be implemented, but not debated.
Yesterday, our brother, the president, was busy with the U.S. vice president. Our brother Azam tried to call him more than once. He wasn't able to reach him, and it seems that the situation in Yemen reached its final stages. Our brother Azam will arrive today or tomorrow and speak about this matter.
In Sanaa, it appears that an agreement, albeit temporary, has been reached on the Yemeni initiative between Fatah and Hamas in Sanaa. In the Palestinian territories, this agreement has created a new internal conflict, which will most likely be between Fatah and the Palestinian Liberation Organization. However, experience has proven that such differences can be quickly overcome. From the headquarters of the Palestinian president in Ramallah, Khaled al-Qasim, Al-Arabiya.
The Army today lifted the closure that was imposed on the West Bank and Gaza Strip before the Purim holiday. The IDF said the move was decided upon after a security consultation and directives from the political echelon. Meanwhile, Defense Minister Ehud Barak is reportedly planning to implement a series of goodwill gestures for West Bank Palestinians that may be intended to send a message to the Palestinian Authority that if it gets too close to Hamas, it risks losing everything. The defense minister was speaking to reporters at the new Tarkumia crossing between Israel and the West Bank. Barak is reportedly seeking the gestures ahead of U.S. Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice's visit to Israel next week. Barak's plans reportedly include the lifting of a number of temporary roadblocks and the opening of a VIP lane at checkpoints, thereby exempting businessmen who are approved by the Shin Bet Security Service from inspections. The civil administration has also been working on other gestures designed to improve the lives of Palestinian residents while not jeopardizing Israeli security. U.S. Vice President Richard Cheney wrapped up his visit to Israel and the Palestinian Authority this morning and flew to Ankara for talks with Turkish leaders. Joining us now from our Tel Aviv studio to sum up the Vice President's visit is IBA's diplomatic correspondent Leah Zinder. Welcome, Leah.
Yes, hi. Thank you, Yochanan. As you say, the Vice President did wind up his lightning two-day visit to Israel. He ended it as he began it, with talks with Prime Minister Olmert, this time a breakfast meeting with the Prime Minister at his residence. And interestingly, talks of a possible reconciliation between Fatah and Hamas did come up in that meeting. Prime Minister Olmert told Cheney that as far as he knows, there is no binding or substantive agreement as yet between Hamas and Fatah that would require an official Israeli response. A source in the Prime Minister's office told IBA a short time ago that Fatah has to make a choice, that they can either have a dialogue and peace with Israel or reconciliation with Hamas. They cannot have both. Vice President Cheney, for his part, told reporters yesterday after his talks with PA President Abbas that he doesn't believe that Abbas will agree to reconcile with Hamas until that terror group reverses its takeover of Gaza. And as you say, Yochanan, for now, the peace process with Fatah is gaining momentum. Yochanan.
Leah, did the Iranian issue happen to come up at today's meeting between Olmert and Cheney?
Actually, yes, it did. In fact, interestingly enough, the last thing that Cheney said to reporters after he left the Prime Minister's residence was this. He said that there is evidence that Hamas is being supported by Iran and by Syria, and that they're doing everything they can to torpedo the peace process. Cheney was told by Defense Minister Ehud Barak last night that Iran's military buildup is endangering the stability of the region and the entire world, and that no option should be taken off the table concerning Tehran's nuclear program. Well, sources in the Prime Minister's office were more guarded than that. What they said was the Iranian nuclear issue did in fact top the agenda in the talks between Prime Minister Olmert and Vice President Cheney, and that they both agreed on the need for concerted international action to thwart Iran's nuclear ambitions. Back to you, Yochanan, in the studio in Jerusalem.
في ختام زيارته لإسرائيل والأراضي الفلسطينية اتهم نائب الرئيس الأمريكي ديك تشيني حركة حماس.
At the end of his trip to Israel and the Palestinian territories, Dick Cheney said that Hamas, backed by Syria and Iran, is trying to destroy the Palestinian-Israeli peace process. He said that any reconciliation between Fatah and Hamas is conditional on the latter letting go a rule over Gaza. Afterwards, Cheney headed to Ankara, the last stop on his tour of the region. He met with Turkish President Abdullah Gül. They discussed the situation in Iraq, Afghanistan, Iran, and the Middle East, as well as last month's Turkish military operation against fighters from the Kurdish People's Party in northern Iraq. The U.S. Vice President concludes his visit to Turkey on Tuesday after visiting touristic sites in Istanbul. In Jordan, the district attorney of the National Security Court filed charges against 5 Hamas members for collecting information and photographing the Israeli embassy and a U.S. commercial center. According to the list of charges, these 5 people received orders from the Hamas leadership abroad to take these photographs and to enlist Jordanian citizens into Hamas.
بأمر من قيادة حماس في الخارج وكذلك تجنيد مواطنين أردنيين في الحركة.
حماس مرة أخرى في قفص الاتهام ليس لتهريب الأسلحة.
Hamas is once again the defendant, but this time it's not for charges of smuggling weapons or plotting to target Jordanian officials as once before. This time it's because of information obtained that needs to remain secret to safeguard the country. 5 Jordanian citizens stood in the National Security Court facing accusations of being Hamas members and possessing unlicensed armed weapons.
الأولى وهي حيازة سلاح ناري دون ترخيص.
The accusations against the defendants, even if they were true, do not constitute a crime punishable by law. So they should never have been tried nor transferred to the National Security Court. This issue is a political one, to show that there is a case against people belonging to Hamas.
The details of the case, according to the list of charges, include receiving military and security training in one of the neighboring countries, with training in avoiding detection, resisting interrogation, and interfering with telecommunications. Receiving orders from the Hamas leadership abroad to enlist people to carry out Hamas's orders inside Jordan. Documenting and photographing locations that need to remain secret, including the Israeli embassy and the U.S. Commercial Center.
Assuming the charge is true, why is photographing Zionist military sites a top-secret issue for the country of Jordan? How is photographing military sites from a distance in the mountains considered getting secret information that cannot be revealed?
According to the list of charges, the Hamas movement abroad supplied the defendants with necessary funds. The defendants were able to recruit members for Hamas in Jordan. They also succeeded in photographing the required sites and sending them to the Hamas leadership abroad. Saad al-Salawi, Al-Arabiya, Amman.
Ahmed Qassouri speaking to me earlier there. Well, just a day after it was agreed, a deal to end months of hostilities between rival Palestinian factions, Hamas and Fatah, is already unraveling. Top aides to Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas have been distancing themselves from the Yemeni deal, which is being met with skepticism among Palestinians. And as Noor Auda reports from Ramallah, the future of the territories remains as uncertain as ever.
Omar Shhade is a long way from home. A resident of Al-Bureij refugee camp in Gaza, he has been receiving treatment in Israel and Ramallah for 3 months now. Omar is one of dozens of ordinary Palestinians who fell victim to the brutal factional violence in Gaza over the past year. He thinks there are people within Fatah and Hamas that don't want national reconciliation. But still, he is holding out some hope.
I hope to reach an agreement, and I hope I'm the last victim to fall in this dirty split that damaged our people so much.
For many, Omar's tragic reality is reason enough to push Fatah and Hamas towards reconciliation. The Yemeni initiative calls for forming an investigation committee meant to bring justice to those who suffered from the brutality of the infighting. But for victims attending rehabilitation centers like this, or just home in besieged Gaza, the situation is far more complex. They know that families have been literally split by the violent power struggle, and that's a gap a political process may not be able to bridge. The Al-Najjar family knows all too well what the Hamas-Fatah split has meant socially. For almost a year now, Atif Al-Najjar has been caught between her sons, Tahsin, a Hamas member, and Jum'a, a Fatah member. They can't even speak to each other anymore.
They used to be here gathered all around me. Now when I miss Juma, I have to go visit him in his new house because he won't come here. I hope the talks in Yemen can change that.
Standoff with his brother.
In the past, we used to argue over sports teams, but our arguments would end with the game. Now it seems the dispute will go on much longer. It's political. I can't see how we can talk until the bigger fight is dealt with.
And until the politicians achieve reconciliation, Palestinians know all too well it's them who will have to carry on coping with the very real and painful effects the split has caused. Noor Auda, Al Jazeera, Ramallah.
An Israeli intelligence report has warned of new confrontations with Hezbollah, Syria, the Palestinian factions, and perhaps Iran, resulting in the death of hundreds of Israelis. The report said that Hezbollah owns 40,000 missiles, with some that could reach a 250-kilometer range.
In a complaint to the UNIFIL forces in southern Lebanon, Israel claimed that Hezbollah has intensified their activities in the northern border region after the assassination of their military leader, Imad Muhaniyeh. Israel added that Hezbollah established surveillance posts and gathered information on the activities of the Israeli army. In addition, Israel accused UNIFIL of failing to implement UN Resolution 1701 regarding the southern Litany area, which led to the spread of what is referred to as terrorist organizations and the continuous arms smugglings to Hezbollah.
UNIFIL must do more to stop Hezbollah, which is about to cross the red line. Hezbollah is preparing for a war. If they decide to open a war front on the northern parts of the borders, this war will destroy every home in southern Lebanon.
In a secret report made by the Israeli Security Agency and circulated to the various government institutions in Israel, the agency warned of a war with Syria and the Palestinian organizations. If it erupts, the war may kill 230 Israelis, injure 3,000 others, and damage more than 20,000 homes. In addition, posing danger to sensitive strategic areas. If Iran participates, the results will be even more grave.
The secret report, which we are talking about, was actually released on the occasion of Dick Cheney's visit to the country. In many statements, Dick Cheney has said that the Iranian matter must be resolved using all means.
Israel continues to make preparations for the possibility of an imminent confrontation. It placed an anti-missile system on its civilian planes, especially those planes that are headed to countries where it would be an easy target for revenge attacks.
On a technical level, there is a huge possibility of planes being brought down. Israel must be very well prepared.
Despite the state of escalating tensions, Israel claims that the negotiations over the fate of the 2 Israeli soldier captives of Hezbollah have not stopped. In addition, it states that it no longer rejects the condition of releasing Palestinian and Arab prisoners in exchange for information about the 2 Israeli captives. This is so the second phase of the negotiations about a comprehensive deal, which will guarantee their return, can begin. Israel is conflicted over its desire to return the 2 captive soldiers and its extreme concern over a revenge attack. As the Hezbollah file remains open until a new step is taken to determine its fate, Israel faces a new challenge to regain its defense capabilities. Amal Ashhad from the city of Haifa.
Pakistan's new Prime Minister, Yusuf Rida Gilani, demanded the immediate release of all judges who were put under house arrest following the state of emergency order previously declared in the country. Gilani was elected for the office of the Prime Minister after winning 246 votes in the lower house of Parliament. With this, Gilani becomes the 25th Prime Minister of Pakistan. Ahmed Barakat attended the Parliament session and compiled the following report.
After more than a month since the general elections were held in Pakistan, the parliament elected a new prime minister whom many believe will not serve under the direct supervision of the president.
فوز سهل ليوسف رضا جيلاني الذي أصبح رئيس وزراء باكستان ال25.
It was an easy victory by Yusuf Rida Gilani, who was sworn in as Pakistan's 25th Prime Minister. Gilani won the majority of votes in the parliament, which may shape the direction and strength of the upcoming government. With this victory, Gilani has gained the momentum necessary to form the new coalition government. Many challenges are facing the upcoming government, including the reinstatement of all judges expelled from their positions, the sovereignty of the parliament, and its relationship with the president, and to say the least, the security and the economic challenges. The agreement to form a coalition government doesn't mean that the union has agreed on all issues.
We are going through a fragile period. It's very difficult to comment on the issues facing the government. Amidst the hopes and prayers of the nation, there appears to be no guarantees, and we must be ready to face any unpleasant developments.
الباكستانيون يرون أن بلادهم
The Pakistani people believe that their country has moved from indirect military rule to a civilian one. However, the new government must know how to run the country amidst the many challenges and problems facing it. From prison to the office of the Prime Minister, this is the story of the 55-year-old Yusuf Jilani, a resident from the city of Multan in the Punjab region. Jilani, who frequently appeared to the right of Benazir Bhutto after the latter returned to Pakistan last October, was described as a political figure with a political future. Jilani served as an advisor for the late President Zia al-Haq and served as Prime Minister 4 times before joining the People's Party and presiding over the parliament during the second term of Bhutto's government from 1993 to 1996. Jilani was accused of abusing his power and sentenced to prison for a period of 10 years. He was released from prison in 2006. Despite all this, Jilani was described as moderate and unconfrontational, which could qualify him to work with the various political blocs, including President Musharraf. The value of the American dollar significantly decreased in relation to other currencies. The dollar has been constantly decreasing for the past several months, which has created a nightmare for Arab citizens since the currencies of Arab countries and oil is fixed to the dollar.
تتواصل الأحداث السياسية في العالم مسرعة.
Political events such as the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan are having their toll on the American dollar. The exchange currencies of the dollar decreased to its lowest in the past 40 years. Many people are afraid to keep their savings in the fluctuating dollar.
We advise both individuals and institutions not to keep their savings in one currency. We advise they transfer their savings into a variety of currencies. For example, they can keep part of their money in shekels, some in dollars, and the rest in euros.
This advice did not help much of the people here in Gaza because the income of many of them is linked to the dollar. Thus, the sudden decrease in the dollar value has had a significant impact on them due to the rise in the prices of the primary commodities.
This is a big loss. I lost the equivalent of $3,000 in one day.
Even after all these negative effects that have been caused by the decrease in the exchange currency of the American dollar, there is a big possibility that the American dollar will decrease further in the next few days. While the price of the dollar continues to decrease, the price of gold continues to increase. This has left many wondering about this notable difference. Abdullah Murtaja, Al-Aqsa Channel, Palestine.
Syrian students from the occupied sections of the Golan Heights who are studying at Syrian universities celebrated Mother's Day in sadness. About 350 students, overcome with emotions, exchanged Mother's Day wishes with their mothers over loudspeakers across the area referred to as the Valley of Yelling, which is divided by Israeli barbed wires.
Mama, I miss your voice. Me too, my heart.
ها هنا في وادي الصراخ الشهير
This is how Mother's Day is celebrated in the famous Valley of Yelling, which lies between the two parts of the Golan Heights divided by the Israeli occupation. Broken calls, flowing tears, and a longing for union since the Israeli occupation of the Golan Heights in 1967. Tamar Brek came from Damascus along with her friends and about 350 other students attending Syrian universities. Tamar is a college freshman tasting the pain of separation. She could only hear her mother's voice from the occupied town of Mejdel Shems.
When I got close, I thought, how close are we? Only a couple of meters. I wish the situation was different. I hope that things will become better. Our mothers are right here next to us, and we can't hug them or kiss them. We can't wish them a happy Mother's Day.
This valley acquired the nickname the Bermuda Triangle of the Middle East because the emotions of those who come here disappear, unheard by the world powers. The valley is filled with barbed wires and explosives separating the two sides.
If this was taking place anywhere else in the world, the Security Council would have convened, decided, and accomplished. It is a strong message. We are here and persevering in spite of the barbed wire.
A person grows weak from talking. No matter how much a person talks, it's hard to describe one's feelings. I just want to wish her a happy Mother's Day and pray that she stays with us to raise us.
في عيد الأم لم تجد هذه الورود سبيلا ليد أم مشتاقة كسائر أمهات العالم.
Unlike the rest of the world on such a day, these flowers could not reach the hands of longing mothers. The real joy will only be completed when the occupied Golan Heights returns to the arms of its own motherland, Syria. But Damascus is running out of patience with Tel Aviv stalling. It has waited peacefully but cannot wait forever for its heights' return. There are about 20,000 people living in the 5 occupied villages of the Golan Heights and hundreds of thousands of refugees. All of these are waiting for the day of liberation, and as a military escalation in the Middle East grows stronger, the Golan Heights remains as the calm key to peace.
If Israel does not respond to international resolutions and does not want peace by returning the Syrian Golan Heights, which have been occupied since 1967, then the Syrian people are capable of taking the decision to resist and liberate their land with determination and will.
For Al Madar program, this is Tawfiq Yasji, Abu Dhabi TV, Ain El Tineh, the Golan Heights.
Runoff elections for the 8th Parliament is to be held on April the 25th, that according to Guardian Council spokesman Abbas Ali Khodai, who added the runoff will be held in several constituencies. The Guardian Council has so far verified the results of March the 14th parliamentary elections in 60 constituencies across the country. He added the process of endorsing the results in other constituencies is going on. Iran has set new terms and conditions for property transactions by Iranian expatriates. An announcement circulated by Iran's Prosecutor General's office has reiterated that from now on, the overseas-based Iranian nationals can go through all legal procedures concerning the ownership of their real estate and property transactions by entrusting power of attorney needless of presence in Iran. The announcement has also listed the names of those who are barred from transactions. Foreign ministers from Iran, Tajikistan, and Afghanistan held the first round of talks in Dushanbe to review ways to boost cooperation. Top on the agenda is upgrading economic cooperation between the 3 countries. At the meeting, Foreign Minister Manouchehr Mottaki underlined the necessity of forming a 3-way committee to follow up ratifications and agreements made between the 3 presidents and called for the continuation of the sessions to execute economic and cultural cooperation agreements. The Iranian top diplomat referred to the bad omen phenomena of narcotics and terrorism as the common concerns the 3 states are suffering from and warned against the negative consequences of these questions for the stability of the region. And Iran Khodro, largest auto manufacturer in the Middle East, plans to increase annual private vehicle production capacity to 1,080,000 by 2011. Iran Khodro's managing director Manouchehr Mantaqi said Iran Khodro Industrial Group manufactured over 525,000 vehicles in 2007. Meanwhile, deputy head of Iran Khodro, Keyvan Khojaste, announced that the company intends to rise its car export volume from 37,000 to 90,000 vehicles this year, 25,000 of which are to be assembled in Syria, Venezuela, Belarus, the Azerbaijan Republic, Egypt, and Senegal. Tomorrow, March the 25th, marks the birth anniversary of the last divine messenger, Islam's Prophet Muhammad, which coincides with the auspicious birth anniversary of Imam Jafar Sadiq, the sixth Imam of the Prophet Muhammad's infallible household. Marking the joyous feast, festivities in full swing across the Muslim world, streets decorated in an extravaganza of light and eulogies recited in celebration ceremonies. And on behalf of all my colleagues at JNN English Newsroom, I would like to felicitate Muslims on the auspicious occasion.
Get more news about the Middle East online at linktv.org/Mosaic. The Mosaic webpage offers a complete archive of Mosaic programs, program transcripts, the Mosaic video podcast, and the Mosaic Intelligence Report, a weekly analysis of the hottest stories from the Middle East. The views expressed on Mosaic are those of the participating broadcasters, not Link TV or its sponsors. The production of Mosaic is made possible with the support of viewers like you. Thank you. This program was brought to you by Link TV for educational and non-commercial use only. Link TV is the only U.S. television network devoted to global and national news, with uncompromising documentaries and diverse cultural programs. Programs which connect you to the world.